Hello fellow woodworkers, welcome to this week's edition of the Garage Workshop, and in this week's video we're going to be taking this space and turning it into a new storage unit for the workshop dust extraction. Roll the intro. So fellow woodworkers, over the last month or so I've been redoing a lot of the units in my garage workshop, because when I did them originally it was very early on, before I even had my YouTube channel, and though they were good at the time, they really don't suit my needs now. So one of the things that I've temporarily got is my DeWalt vac. I did a 10-minute tool review on this. I'll put a link in the description to it a while ago, and I've got it currently hooked up to my Evolution miter saw. Again, link in the description to the 10-minute tool review for that. And it's a really good system and it's working very well, but what I don't like about it is A, it's not very neat, and B, I would also like to see if I could make some room for my Shipak proper dust collector, which I'd like to hook up to my router station, which literally sits in here. So I've got this gap, and I've got a plan in my mind to build a little unit that will go in there that I can put 2 levels on, and above it I can put my Shipak in. Now, not only will it give me the flexibility to have both of these units in one storage, as it were, although it will be quite high, it will also cover a lot of the mess I've got on the wall here from where I've changed things around. And when the unit is eventually there, it will sit above the router table, which is just going to sit in front of it, and it will also give me an opportunity to fix some tools or some different things to the wooden part of the unit. It's going to be a really basic build, this. I'm literally just going for a sort of studwork timber frame, and then I'm going to clad it in some of the either plywood or some of the other things that I've got lying around, bits of wood I've got lying around the workshop. I've even got some OSB which I might potentially use. It hasn't got to look great. The front bit where you're going to see it will, but the rest of it is just going to be really basic. So first thing I'm going to do is take some measurements of the gap, then I'll knock together a quick framework, and then we'll look at how we're going to put the cladding on it. So, as is now commonplace on the channel, the first stage was some really accurate measuring, and I wanted to make sure, I didn't want to get it exactly, you know, tight. I wanted a bit of room, but I wanted to make sure that I'd left enough spaces in the unit for everything that I needed it to have. And also, as you will have seen, I'm starting to just draw things out slightly. So the next thing to do was got the wood. Do you like my new camera angle? Trying something new. And this is just CLS, basic CLS stud timber. And I'd set up a stop block to get these are for the sort of upright struts, the diagonal struts of each of the shelves, as it were. So I just set up a stop block, just ran all of the pieces of timber through just to make sure they're exactly the right size. You can see that I'm just testing and it was absolutely fine. So I just ran all of them through. I ended up actually running more than I needed. I deliberately had a spare because I was a bit concerned about some of the pieces of wood. They were very knotty towards the end. So I actually had more. I had 9, and obviously I didn't need that many. Next stage was to cut off the other struts that are going to form sort of the end, if you see what I mean. And then I pre-drilled everything. I always do this with CLS timber because it does have a tendency to split. So when I did that, I just hooked them all together, just using screws in case I want to take it apart. Deliberately didn't use wood glue for this, like I said, because I might want to take it apart one day and wood glue would spoil that. So fellow woodworkers, I am going to use this little Parkside mini saw, which I've never used on the channel before, but I've used it quite a few times off. It's not going to give me a perfect cut, but it doesn't need to for this, and it does have a laser on the end, which I'm going to use to follow the line that I've marked. So let's see how we get on. Just to let you know, I have seen this tool recently in Lidl, so if you're interested you might be going to pick one up. So it's made a nice cut, slightly wonky at the edge, but it should fit fine. Let's check it out. Yep. I'm happy with that. It's not going to get seen anyway, because obviously it's going to have the stages on the top, but happy with that. Let's get the rest of the ones done. I then repeated the cut for the other shelves. Like I said, not worried how it looks because it's going to be hidden. So for the last top, I've got this piece of 12mm plywood, which I've just literally sliced the edge off. It has got a gap either side, so I'm going to have about ½ an inch, maybe a centimetre or so overhanging on either side, but I'm not too worried about that because, you know, this isn't going to be seen by the world. This is going to be all covered up. So in that respect, I'm not too worried. So what I'm going to do now is fix the top, because this is going to be the bottom panel because it's slightly thicker than the other two. So this is going to be the bottom. So I'm going to fix it on now. And then I'm going to cut the other pieces of timber I've got that are going to be the 4 legs. And then we can start putting on the shop vacs and see where we get to. I have just put this frame on top of my DeWalt that's there, and it's fine. It works exactly the right size. So let's get them hooked together. We get all 3 of these hooked together, and then we can start with the upward struts. So like I said, I just pre-drilled absolutely everything before I screwed anything out. The last thing I wanted was any sort of split at this stage, so I just hooked it together. Again, basic screws, not too many. It's not going to be under a huge amount of tension. The weight of both of these shop vacs is minimal anyway. When I did that, I then moved on, set up a stop block. These are to do the 4 sort of inner leg pieces, which you'll see in a minute, and then I cut the main uprights. All 4 main uprights, which are going to form the sort of main part of the structure. With that all done, I just then finished hooking together the legs. You can't really see them from this angle. Those little blocks of wood I've cut off are just on the inside. They're being clamped up there. And I just had to be careful of the screw placement here, because obviously I've got to get the casters on and everything as well when I'm driving down from the top. So I was very careful. And again, just pre-drilled everything before screwing it. This is the actual, now the upright, the main sort of upright. That little block is just there to keep it flat. Secured it in the middle first, and then just 4 quite lengthy screws, and you can see there the placement of the screws had to be very careful of. And then it was just a case of hooking the shelves in. I'm not going to show you all this footage because once you've seen one, you've seen them all. I just laid all of it down, hooked all one side in, got it straight, then rotated the whole thing over the other side, and then just repeated exactly the same thing. I have put a lot of screws in this. I'm not going to deny it. There is a lot. And also here, you can see I have to back that screw out. These are some recycled screws, and the head was just completely sheared. So you do have to be careful if you're going to recycle screws. The next thing was just marking up the caster, and it wasn't until I watched this footage back that you can see there's a split there on the wood. I obviously did that when I was screwing in and didn't notice it. I don't think it's going to matter, but that's why you have to be so careful with everything that you do. Again, just pre-drilled everything. I had to actually go for the impact driver because my Parkside sort of drill driver that I normally use just wasn't strong enough. It wasn't until later that I realised the battery was flat, my bad. And then on the top, I just put this door that was from the flip-top cart. It just seemed to go. It fitted just about. There's a little overhang either side, but that wasn't an issue. It just seemed to fit really nicely, and it's in keeping with the rest of the furniture. So I just hooked it together with that on the top, and again pre-drilled everything here. And I was really careful because this wood is really quite thin in a lot of places. But I was pleased with how it looked. I was a little bit concerned about this, I'm not going to lie. I didn't want this unit to be massively heavy, and obviously it's just a lot of stud work timber and stuff, so it looks on my face like it's heavy, but it was actually nowhere near as heavy as I thought it was going to be. It was a little bit wobbly when it was on the bench, but it was fine when it was stood up. Next thing was just offering up the ship hack. I knew that would definitely fix. I think I'd left about 4 centimeters above it before the shelf above, and then my DeWalt that's in there, you can just see me lifting it up. That fitted as well. There's a nice amount of clearance at the top of that as well. The only thing I have got to think about here is just a little bit of cable management in terms of the hoses. The DeWalt one, you can see that's really straightforward. That's essentially where it was, just up in the air. It's more the Shipak one and how I'm going to do that, because the Shipak that's at the bottom is going to be responsible for the dust collection from my router table. So that's the thing that I've got to look at. But I have got an upcoming tool review of a tool I think that's going to help me sort all that out, because I haven't really addressed dust collection with my Trend router table yet, but that's an upcoming project. So fellow woodworkers, my vacuum dust extraction storage is finished, and I have to say I'm really impressed with how it's turned out. It was a little bit wobbly and sort of not quite straight when I had it flat on the bench, but now it's here, it's absolutely rock solid and it's not going anywhere. And I managed to reuse this door panel, which was from my flip top car. I've managed to reuse it and I think it looks really good. It matches with everything else I've got. Both of my shop vacs they're still visible, as in I can get to them on both sides. I can turn them on and off. The power cables are easy to get to, but they're also hidden away, so really good access. I'm pleased with how it's turned out. It's done exactly what I wanted it to do, and obviously you can see the Shipak at the bottom, but in a minute when I move the router cart in front of it, that will also be hidden, and it's given me this storage space to use on here. So overall, really happy. Thank you so much for watching the video this week. Please let me know in the comments what you think of my new dust extraction unit. If it's your first time at the channel, please can I ask you to subscribe, like and comment. If you're a regular viewer, also don't forget to like and comment. I'll see you on next week's edition of the Garage Workshop. Take care, fellow woodworkers.